Welcome to Spiritual Foundations for Life. This is day number 38. The author of Hebrews writes in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 10, "In the beginning, Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands." God's story has no beginning and no end. He is the creator, not the creation. And while everything else in the universe is present in one place in time, God is everywhere present or omnipresent for all time. Solomon said of God in 2 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 6, "Who is able to build a temple for him, since the heavens, even the highest heavens, cannot contain him?" Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3 says that God sustains all things by his powerful word. If God ceased to exist, so would all of creation. For in him we live and move and have our being, according to Acts chapter 17 verse 28. We cannot think of God as being in one place or another place. David wrote in Psalm chapter 139 verses 8 to 10, "If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me." These are comforting words if we're seeking the security of God's presence. On the other hand, if we, like Adam and Eve in the garden, are trying to hide from God, these words can be very threatening. Because the Bible is clear, it is impossible to hide from God, to flee from God. As God said to the prophet Jeremiah in Jeremiah 23 verse 24, "Who can hide in secret places so that I cannot see them? Do I not fill the earth?" God says. Even darkness cannot hide us from God, because darkness is as light to God, according to Psalm 139 verses 11 and 12. Nor can the expanse of space set limits on God, for he contains space in himself. He contains space itself. Because God is everywhere present, he is near to all who call on him, according to Psalm chapter 145 verse 18. We may think of God as being remote from us, but that is not because he resides in some far off galaxy. Rather, it's because of how different his nature is from our own nature. You see, sin has separated us from God in terms of our relationship, and there's nothing we can do to reconnect with him apart from the saving work of Jesus Christ. God has promised, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you," according to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. We should acknowledge God's presence and increasingly become more aware of how he is working in our midst. It makes no sense to pray that God will be with us, since God, by his very nature, is always present. He's always with us. We should instead pray that God will enable us to become more conscious of his presence. David understood this when he wrote in Psalm 16, verse 8, "I have set the Lord continually before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken." We worship God when we ascribe to him the divine attributes that only he possesses. The Lord doesn't need affirmation from us about who he is. He is fully secure within himself. Instead, we worship God because we need to continually bring his divine attributes to our minds. We will never feel alone as long as we acknowledge that our Heavenly Father is always with us. Our key point today is that God is everywhere present and always near to those who call upon him. Our key verse is 2 Chronicles chapter 2 verse 6. "The heavens, even the highest heavens, cannot contain him." God bless you. See you again tomorrow for another episode.